Hello, Namaskar, Vanakkam. My name is Sudhir Sahasranaman and you're watching Careers with Sudhir. This is going to be your one-stop platform if you want reliable, accurate and trustworthy information on the careers that you may want to pursue. So share the video and subscribe to the channel and send in your feedback to let us know what more information you are looking for. Now, this particular video is talking about career prospects if you study history. Now, you may wonder, who studies history after class 10 or class 12? Well, there are many of you do. And the general feeling is that history is such a boring subject. Why would we want to pursue a career in history? You may be surprised that in today's world, it is not just the engineers, it's not just the coders, it's not just people who have understanding of artificial intelligence and machine learning, it's not just people who have an understanding of corporate law, but people who have an understanding of history, who are preferred even in IT companies in different roles. So in this particular video, I am going to take you through some of the very fascinating career options that you would have if you pursue a course in history at the graduate, at the undergraduate and the postgraduate level. You do a BA honors in history, follow it with an MA honors, MA in history. You actually put yourself out there in the market to be able to pursue some very fascinating and awesome careers. So let's look at it one by one. The list of options, this is the first list of 4 options. The first and foremost is the UPSC or the State Civil Services. Many of you actually write the examination, and many of you, a majority of course, we do have doctors, chartered accountants, engineers also writing the civil services. But a vast majority is of those from the humanities background, and within that are students from either political science or history or economics, right? So why do students with a history background choose to write the UPSC examination? Because it is seen to be a very clear fit. Many of your questions have a background in the history of India and the world. So obviously you are more comfortable in dealing with those kind of questions. So if you are aspiring to be an IAS, an IPS, an IFS, or an Indian Revenue Service officer, and through the UPSC route, a BA honors and an MA in history is a good fit if you are looking to do that, because many history graduates pursue this route because the subjects overlap with the general study papers also at the UPSC level. The second one is academia and research. Now, many of you, if you do not have an interest in history, may find this route very boring. But if you are someone who enjoys history, then this is another important option, and you could find a job in a college in Delhi University, Banaras Hindu University, Jadavpur University, Christ University. There are a whole lot of universities which are there, Mumbai University. There are a whole lot of universities which would be looking for good lecturers and professors of history like you. So that is something which you could look at. And also, apart from that, there are many think tanks these days. Think tank is basically something which gets funded by either a corporate group or an NGO, and they are kind of tasked with doing research on a particular event which may have consequences later, which may have some kind of implications later. So think tanks, again, very well paying job. You could actually be in demand at any of these think tanks or cultural research institutes or research institutes or even museums. Museums also look at museum curators. There are lots of museums which are set up both in India and abroad, which actually look for documenting what happened during a particular period of history, right? Let's say a museum which kind of documents what happened when 1999 turned into 2000, right? So you need to have an understanding of what happened 25 years ago. You need to have an understanding about the events which led to 2000, 1999, 2000. So you have to have an understanding of very, very ultra modern history and the implications on the India and the world of today. that's also going to be very relevant. So you could get a job as a curator of a museum. Then the Archaeological Survey of India and Intact, which looks after cultural heritage of India, right? So these are again places, organizations which look for people with a history background to be able to understand. It could be Chola period history in Tamil Nadu. It could be the Kalinga Empire. It could be Mughal history. It could be the Delhi Sultanate. It could be the Kakatiya dynasty in Telangana. It could be the Maratha Empire in Maharashtra. Any of that. So if you have a specialization, even better. Please remember one thing, and this is applies to everything. From your 9th, 10th class. Gone are the days of a master of all trades. People look for specialization. So if your specialization is very, very minute, it helps you because you become a much sought after subject expert. So in life, try to be a subject expert instead of a bits and pieces, कि यहाँ से ये किताब से ये पढ़ा दिया तो चलता है, ये किताब से ये पढ़ा दिया चलता है. No, be a subject expert. It will obviously always help you stand out in the crowd. That always helps. Okay, so this is again to do with museums and curation in the National Museum of India, in the National Archives of India, all of them in New Delhi. Now there are more. ऐसा नहीं है कि खत्म हो गए, मैं तुमको बहुत बताऊंगा. Law. Now you may think, how is law important? Now after doing a BA honors in history, you can pursue an LLB and then combine your knowledge of history with law, and you can become a legal advisor. You could become a judge, and of course you can always become an advocate. Basically what happens is that history students are good at reading a lot. So when you become good at reading a lot and assimilating all that information, it is a very natural fit for you to do well in law, because again in law you need to read a lot. So a BA honors in history followed by a law, and then in today's context it becomes very important. Then if you specialize in cases relating to historical matters, right, relating to something which happened 50 years ago, something which happened 75 years ago, you will be good and good at doing research, understand the importance of doing research. So you will be a subject expert to deal with those kind of cases. As I said, subject expertise is very much sought after. I'm telling you from a very professional point of view, if you are a subject expert, you will always stand out in the crowd. Okay. Then, of course, you have the thing of publishing, because you could be part of a publishing house, and there are a whole lot of publishing houses these days, right? You could be part of a publishing house which deals with historical books. Even when you are kind of editing or proofreading a biography, if you have understanding of where that person came from, right, you would be able to do justice to the editing and proofreading of that particular book. So you could be a historian consultant also for books. Some book companies may hire you on a particular case basis, that okay, we have commissioned a historical book on India before 1857. We would want you to come on board as a consultant because you understand this subject, right? So you could think, or there could be, let's say, a book written on the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. There could be a book written specifically on the years leading to India's independence, right? There could be a book about the emergency. So when you get these kind of books, and if you are a historian, you could come on board for that particular project with that publishing house, and these can be well-paying jobs if you are you have been a student of history. Again, another important this thing as a corollary to this could be, there are many movies which are made in Hindi, in the regional languages like Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, etc., which are on historical, like the recent Chava of Vicky Kaushal and Rashmika Mandana, right? So when you have this kind of historical movies being made, they generally employ someone who has an understanding of history. In this case, let's say Maratha history. So if you come on board of these movies, again, well-paying jobs as a consultant, in order to ensure that you don't get any historical detail wrong in the movie, right? So these are again projects that you can be part of if you are a history student, right? Of course, goes without saying that we'll come to that later. I have a separate section on that. Media, can be part of media? Because once you have done a BA honors, if you have a historical background, you can do a degree in mass communication journalism, and you can be part of a newspaper, a magazine, a TV station, a radio station kind of group, in which you can talk, you can write about, do stories about these kind of subjects. In fact, I know of people who specialize in writing about the history of a particular place, which are like for the Sunday magazine section, the feature section. You go to a particular place, this was where Mirza Ghalib lived, and you kind of trace what happened to those parts. This is where Kishore Kumar was born, more modern history, and try to relate it to the his songs. This is where he learned his songs, his music, etc., etc. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that those kind of options are also there, and if you have a flair for writing, you can be part of the media. Finally, tourism, great opportunity. You can be part, again, as I'm not saying as a tourist guide, but you can be part of various tourism departments as a consultant, in order to kind of design specific tourism projects for a particular place, targeted at a particular kind of clientele. So you can be part of various tourism projects. Again, given the fact that many many state governments are trying to earn more revenue through tourism. A travel consultant, you just need to get a certification in tourism management. That would really help. If you do that and you can combine it with history, you can be a perfect fit for many state governments and the tourism ministries. You can be a cultural coordinator. You can be someone who takes people on heritage walks. Again, something very popular in some of the in every city, like in Delhi, the old city area of Delhi, the old city area of Hyderabad, right? Or you go through Mumbai and go through some of the areas which are really old and have a history and stories to tell, right? So if you have that kind of a flair, this is again something which you could look at. See, let me tell you one thing, and you, all of you 16, 17, 18-year olds or 20, 21-year olds, please bear one thing in mind. The way you will be in your profession is going to be extremely different from the way your parents or your grandparents did, right? It's going to be extremely different. Now, you may ask me, how is it going to be different? And I'm telling this to you purely from my experience. Like, my father worked in the central government, in a central government job, going in the morning at 8 o'clock, coming home at 6 o'clock, Saturday, Sunday leave. That's the kind of job he lived. I did not lead that kind of a life. So every generation leads a different life. The other thing which you need to bear in mind is that today, the way things are, attrition is a part of life. People do lose their jobs. There are many people, many companies, especially IT companies, etc. They hire you for a project. वो project खत्म हुआ या project का renewal नहीं हुआ, you will be out of a job. So always you need to keep a plan B. So even if you have not done history as a graduation course, you are interested in it, you have done some kind of certification course, even then you could be part of this. You could be part of this as a freelancer, right? So always keep plan B ready, so that that can be a second source of income for you in case you'll end up losing your first job. So all these things are very important. Now, और है, रुको रुको बड़ा रुको जरा, UNESCO. You would have read this in class 10. UNESCO is a UN organization which deals with culture and heritage and history. So you could join any of these UN related organizations which deal with history, etc. That is something which you could look at. That's something which is going to be welcome. Movies I've already spoken about as a consultant. Then history podcaster, right? History podcaster. I don't know if you have seen this YouTube channel called Kirti History. I'm a big fan. The kind of video she does, the kind of information that she provides about various aspects of history. So you could be a podcaster, you could be on YouTube, you could have your own channels on Instagram or on different forms of social media and you could actually do very well if you are able to combine your skills at storytelling with your knowledge of history. So this is again something which is going to be a very 21st century kind of profession. Then MBA. Why MBA? Management. So there actually, the thing is that if you are a general category engineer, male or female, your options of joining an IIM, Ahmedabad, Bengaluru or Kolkata actually become very limited because they prefer students with academic diversity. So if you are a BA honors in a subject like history, your chances actually go up. So you could get an interview call even at a 99.0 or 99.1, whereas a general category engineer, male or female, may not get a call even at 99.5. I know of cases even at 99.6 not getting a call from IIM ABC. So an MBA where you combine your knowledge of history with a management degree, and that will give you that heft and be able to kind of navigate through different boardrooms in corporate life, but with an understanding of history. So you actually bring a different kind of intensity, you bring a different kind of learning into the ways of management. This is something which you can again look for, right? And it will obviously be a well-paying job if you have done it from any of the top IIMs or an institute like XLRI or SPGen. Now, which are the best colleges to do a BA honors? First, of course, is Delhi University, without doubt. And in Delhi University, there are a whole lot of colleges which you could definitely look at very carefully. It could be St. Stephen's, Hindu, Ramjas, Hansraj. All these colleges have good history departments. I studied from Delhi University, so I can vouch for it. Presidency University, earlier used to be Presidency College, both in Kolkata and Chennai. Presidency University, again, you could look at. JNU, this is for the postgraduate level. Okay, for the postgraduate level, you could look at Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. Jadavpur University in Bengal, another option where you could look at for doing history honors. Then Christ University, Bengaluru, St. Xavier's College, Mumbai, Banaras Hindu University in Varanasi, and Loyola College in Chennai. All of them have good history courses which you could look at. So that is something which you should look at if you are serious about this. I do hope it gave you some kind of a perspective as to, never be dismissive about a particular subject or a particular stream, because these can actually be leading you to well-paying jobs, provided you know exactly what you need to do. And that's what I have attempted to do in this particular video, to give you how your knowledge can lead you to a particular career. So if you saw as many as 12 career options that you can pursue, which is a lot for pursuing a subject like history, if it can lead you to 12 different career options, great. Even engineering does not lead you to so many, right? So do comment, share and subscribe, and thank you very much for your time and patience. I do hope to meet you in the next video, which will again be extremely relevant for all of you. Thank you very much. Tata, bye bye, God bless.